Welcome to the Tarryn Reeves Show, where your journey to empowerment takes center stage. I'm your host, Tarryn Reeves, best-selling author and publishing expert. Together, we'll dive into the hearts and minds of visionaries, disruptors, and trailblazing leaders to explore the most compelling and thought-provoking ideas in life, business, and marketing. Let's inspire, impact, and ignite. This is the Tarryn Reeves Show. Hello. Today, I'm joined by the wonderful Anick Patry. She is somebody that I met about 6 years ago, maybe even longer. Maybe it was 7 years ago at a party that was thrown by a mutual friend. And she was just had this beautiful down-to-earth energy. Anick, welcome.
Thank you so much, Tarryn. It's such a joy to be with you today and excited, very excited.
Awesome. So I'm going to tell the people a bit about you, and then we're just going to chat about all things voice and sound, which is super exciting. I don't think we've had anyone else on the show thus far who has chatted about that. So Anick is an intuitive business mentor. She's a voice and sound healer, a TEDx speaker, international bestselling author, and retreat facilitator. What does this lady not do? She's the visionary behind the transformative modality called voice tapping, which I really want to dive into because that's so interesting. She's got 15 years of experience and has empowered thousands of awakened women and a few men, don't want to forget our men, worldwide to create lives beyond their wildest dreams. Anick, tell me about what got you started and really interested in going down this path of voice and sound healing.
Oh my gosh, where to start? Like the path of being it's relatively new, the sound and the voice. It's something I added because I've been in the coaching industry for probably nearly 20 years now. And I started with a dance business. I've always been quite an action taker and an entrepreneurial. I'm very creative and I like to dive in and very curious nature. So yeah, I love to explore. And so, I've been mentoring for probably the last 15 years and finding my voice as we do. Yeah. And I haven't just discovered just like that. That's not true. It's just been a process over the years. I've always loved singing, always. I'm French Canadian. For people who don't know, there's an accent, so I can relax your left brain here. I'm from Quebec, Montreal, but I've been living in Australia, which was a dream, living by the beach in Coogee Beach for 20-something years now, 22 years. So I've always loved singing. And I sang it back in Canada with very famous people as back vocal. I sang in choirs, and it's always been a big part of my life, my self-expression. And I've always loved also teaching, transmitting, sharing, raising consciousness, raising vibrations. So maybe in the last 3 years, I had a download I've received that I had to buy crystal balls. I've ordered them online and I just always knew that I knew how to play them. So I didn't do any courses or training because people do training, sound healing. I just knew I had this gift within myself. It's the same thing when I was a kid. I had an inner knowing, a very strong intuitive inner knowing that I knew how to play organ.
Wow.
So it might be a past life, something for past life. But my parents, they bought me a guitar at 3 or 4 years old. They sent me to guitar lesson and I hated it with a passion. I hated it. I was coming back with my little hands. I still have like dwarf's hands because I'm quite tall for a woman. I'm 5'6", I'm 1.67 m. I'm not short. And I've got these tiny little hands. So imagine at 4, I had these minuscule little hands.
Trying to play the guitar.
My fingers were bleeding and I just hated it. And so anyway, at 8 years old, I said to my mom, I would love to have an organ with the pedals and stuff. And she said, you sure you're going to play? I said to her, I know how to play. And she laughed, but she said, okay, I will get you one, and got me a teacher. And within 2 weeks, I could just play with my eyes closed.
Wow.
So same with my crystal balls about 3 or 4 years ago? Anyway, my crystal balls, woo! And my voice together, like as if I've done it for a million years. It was just super natural. So I started to play with it and to offer that. And then now I do festivals and I do voice activations and I do voice tapping and I do voice healing. And now it's a big part of my work.
But it's not the only part of your work, right?
only part of my work, but I suppose I'm a multi-potentialist, multi-passionate, but it's coming together. And I chose to love myself enough not to deny the parts of me. My musical part is really important. And the benefits that people get, my clients, they get like vision of their purpose, their soul purpose. They get past life regression healing. They get really clear on their next step with their business or with their passion. It has a very, very powerful healing effect on my clients, on my audience. I see the benefits, so I know that it's something I love doing, I love offering. It's a natural talent and gift, and it heals people. It helps, it supports my clients. So I can't deny that because it's been given by God, by the universe. As an entrepreneur, I'm learning to include that in making it part of my work and finding a way to dance with it all.
That's beautiful. Now, two questions came up for me while we were chatting there, and one's quite a masculine question and one's quite a feminine question. It's always the way in business, right? Because we can't have one without the other. And the old way of doing business was very, very masculine and pushed a lot of us female entrepreneurs well outside our comfort zones and turned us away from our joy, if you like. And it looks to me that you have been able to bring that feminine joy and intuition into going and trusting your gut and going, yes, I need to bring this in. This is for me. But at the same time, my question is, being a multi-passionate entrepreneur and offering quite a few things, what is your biggest struggle with marketing that?
Oh, yeah, that's a really good question. Well, it is a challenge because, I mean, especially on the online world where it's very niche, people recognize you as your brand, as the specialist, as the expert in one thing. But it's depending on the offering and who you're talking to. Then if your communication talks to the people who resonate and they need what you're offering. They need a voice activation or they need a mentoring program. Your voice truly matters, where I combine the somatic aspect of the voice and the power of you being a creator and doing what you're passionate about. So we can manifest together. We can create together what you truly desires, because I'm a creative, right? I am creative. And so to help them with that. So it's really in how you communicate and who you're addressing your invitation you're offering to. So it's to be able to dance that dance and to be transparent, to be honest. You know what I mean? Because my choice is more about how can I be at service doing what I love the most ever, as opposed to how can I make the most money, lots of cash. And I mean, don't get me wrong, cash is important because if we don't have it, we can't create much. We get stressed and all that jazz. My choice is more around self-expression and developing my own voice and being as me as I can be, as authentic as I can be, and to serve the people who are resonating with my energy and with the massive wisdom that I'm here to share.
So do you find that in a society, in a world, if you like, even, that a lot of people are dampening down that authenticity, especially with the rise of social media and all these filters and things like that? Do you struggle to be around a lot of people who are not authentic? What does that look like for you?
Well, no, which angle I can answer that question? I'm very privileged and blessed, but mind you, we're the creator. I'm a creator of my reality. Not always. Sometimes I create experiences that I'd rather not have.
Yeah, don't we all?
But most of the time, I'm very blessed that I created for myself a very loving, conscious, holistic, spiritual community. Globally, I'm, French Canadian, so I've got a community, a French community, and Australian community that I'm I adore. I really love my community and you're part of it. Amazing people. I know amazing humans doing amazing things.
Yeah.
When I had a near-death experience in 2017, I got really sick. I really saw how much there is love, compassion, consciousness, generosity, authenticity in my community. So I guess I've got a bit of a nose. I detect bullshit quite quick. because I'm very psychic and very intuitive. So it's not welcome in my world. Like it's, mind you, maybe sometimes I don't want to sound like I'm a hard bitch, and and sometimes my ego shows up and my parts of me which are more in fears or less aligned. But my practice is the practice for all of us is to develop our discernment. It's in my gene keys. It's one of my core things to develop in this lifetime, to discern. So it's very, very high in my value. Transparency, authenticity, honesty, very, very important to my heart. So I detect, and if I feel there's too many layers, too many masks, we all wear them every now and again. But yeah, if there's too many masks, too many layers, I'm going to say no, thank you. I'm going to pass.
Yeah. I love that. Such firm boundaries. And because they are your intrinsic values, like most people, when you ask them, what are your values? They're like, what do you mean? But you've obviously done years of work on that. Or maybe, I don't know, you were just born magical. Who knows?
Oh, no, I wasn't. Yeah, I wasn't born magical, but I got
We're all born magical. We just
stagnated a bit.
Now, you said something interesting before. You had a near-death experience, and it's not that long ago. I didn't know about that. What's happened?
Yeah, I got sick in 2017, really sick. And
Gosh.
yeah, it was pretty full on. I lost it completely. I had an infection in the uterus, and it's a big story for maybe another podcast.
Another time.
It's a big story, but I mean, that story, I suppose, when you're about to lose your life, when you're really sick and hospitalized, and just you have tubes everywhere, and you're just on your deathbed, literally, you value life more, and you value your time more, and you value your energy more. It made me soften a great deal. I was quite hard. I've been raised, I had a mother who was really harsh, really hard. And so that's what I've modeled. So to protect my highly sensitive self, I had some don't come too close to me, fear of being hurt. So in 2017, it really made me melt and really welcome my femininity. And I'm a very feminine woman, and just really operate from a lot more feminine approach in my business, in my life. I softened a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I find that so interesting because a lot of people believe that the uterus and the base chakra for a woman is where we have our creativity, but it's also where we store our trauma. And hearing that you went through such a major experience regarding that part of you, and then it helped you to soften, I think that's a horrendous thing to happen, but also such a gift at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly right. Now you beautifully expressed that, Tarryn. Yeah, it's ancestral trauma, 7 generation behind. That's what we do. We heal 7 generation in the past and 7 generations ahead. And I'm the lucky number. And so I felt like all the suffering, the egoic suffering of my mother, grandmother, great grandmothers on the feminine side, and probably on my dad's side as well. But I felt like it all moved through my body and it literally exploded. So it was very traumatic. It was extremely, extremely painful. And I have no idea how I came back to look the way I look and to.
You look amazing. You always look amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, for a middle-aged woman, I'm doing all right. I guess it's the heart expansion, the opening of the heart, and also doing things that I enjoy. I sing, I dance, I do yoga. Self-care is the pillar number one in my business. I've got 5 pillars, and the number one pillar is self-care on a daily basis. And that's since 2017, it became obvious to me that self-care is a non-negotiable.
Yes, it would do. Yeah.
So in the mentoring programs, I really help women to learn to value self-care and learn to know what really works for them in terms of how they can take care of their soul, their body, their heart, their emotions, and their mind. Because my work is really full. Like in my Gene Key, I'm number one. It's creativity. It's a whole, we touch on everything, on the mindset, on the energetics. It's really deep work that we do to help finding your voice. Or self-care is number one. If you can't take care of yourself, of your needs, of your desires, of your vision, there's 3 steps. There's your needs, then there's your desires, then there's your vision. And to be able to access your vision, you got to know how to take care of your primary needs, know what your desires and your heart are, and then you can follow a vision.
Yeah, 100% agree. And I was reading something the other day that I found really quite interesting as women in today's society, like it's 2024 at the time of recording this, and feminism did a lot. And I'm really not into this horrible feminism, which is man bashing. I don't agree with that at all. But looking back on feminism, it did so much for us, but it also did a lot of harm. And the fact that it is now marketed to women in 2024 that self-care is like, have a shower every day. That is not self-care. That is basic human needs. Like, how far have we fallen as a society? What is that? Like, come on. And self-care isn't that. It goes so much deeper. And part of that is living in your joy and finding things each day that make you happy and doing them. And you're leading by example. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Now, I'm curious. We know that you played music and sang and everything since pretty much you came out of the womb. But did you always have this as a career, or did you do something that was far less in alignment with yourself and it was a journey from there? Talk to me about that.
Oh my, yeah. I mean, my career is not even singing. It's using our voices. Yeah, for sure. It's sounding, it is singing. I guess I do. I sing with my voice. What I'm saying, yeah, I'm singing. I am, actually, I am. And I invite people to use their voices as well for speaking, for self-expression, for communicating, and for liberating sounds. But I guess, no, I've done a lot of things in my life. Like, if you have time, I mean, it's a rich life. I've always done things that were fun, that I enjoyed.
That's so nice to hear. Yeah. That's not something people usually say. That's beautiful.
I've always looked for jobs that were with people. I've got 3 things I love in life. Okay. They're people, nature, and music. That's my life. People, nature. You can see I'm in the grasshopper.
You're channeling, you're in a grasshopper today. I like it.
Yeah. Or the dragonfly or whatever. Like, so yeah, I love humans. I mean, they drive me nuts sometimes.
Don't even get me started. That's why I have books as a living.
But I love intimacy. I love relationships. I love people. I love connections. I love people. I've always been a gatherer of great people. All my life, I was getting the family together when I was really young. It brought me so much joy to see people together singing and dancing and being in reunion and being together. It's just something that really make my heart sing so much. Music, I love, love, love music. I think it's one of the best therapy. Laughing and singing and speaking, channeling, speaking. I love making people laugh. I love telling stories. So I love when people get together. That's what they do. That's what we do. We get together by the fire. We play the guitar. We tell each other stories. That's what we do. And I love that. So music and nature. That's my life. I could be by the fire all day long, guitar, singing, telling each other stories.
That's where we met at such a gathering.
That's what I love. That's the healthiest way to live to me.
Yeah.
To be together, supporting one another, listening to each other, hearing each other's voice.
And that's a skill in itself, listening. Very few people can do it well. Most people listen to respond. People actually listen to receive.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Wise woman you are.
Sometimes. Depends on the day, how much coffee I've had. But I want to really dive into this modality that you've created, Anick, because emotional freedom technique exploded onto the scene a couple of years ago, and people got right into, for those of you listening, EFT, the tapping, yes, tapping on different points in the body to channel meridians and remove blockages, if you like. That's a very uneducated, summarized version. Obviously, I'm not an EFT pro, but you have developed voice tapping. What does that mean, and how did this come about? And can we do some?
Okay. Where? I don't know. Sometimes you ask me questions and I feel like I share a story. I'm not sure. Anyway,
Always share a story. I own a publishing company. Share
we're
all the
having a great
stories.
conversation. That's awesome. Voice tap. Okay. So in that experience in 2017, when I was in Bali in Indonesia and I had this infection in the
That where it
uterus.
happened in Bali.
So yeah, I've been using my voice a lot and I've been connecting. I don't know if your audience, I'm assuming your audience will be into spirituality. I've always prayed, like I'm not religious, but I'm very spiritual. I'm very
Yeah.
connected upstairs. I was connecting with Mother Mary and I had the near-death experience and I was really sick and I lost it. She came to me with that. She said, you love singing. She said, well, first of all, you're not done on planet Earth. You still got things
Get back in the saddle, girl.
yeah, that you needed, and you need to learn to grow more as a human being, and to decided that you're not completed. It's a shame because it was really fun up there.
You wait your turn. Don't be in such a hurry.
No, I'm grateful. Life is a gift. It's sure a gift to have this human experience. A lot of souls are waiting and a line to come here. So she gave it to me. She said, because I resonated with EFT, with tapping the modality to help with transmuting a limitations, a fear, a trauma, moving the energy in your body and going towards what you want to create, what you want to experience instead of the fear. So it's influenced by tapping and using using my voice, inspiring people to use their voice as well. So I've got clients. I've got a client who she did a 9 months with me and she was really tough cookie. She was really tough. A little Indian woman. I mean, I love her to bits. We're still connected. So much love there. And she manifested like with using voice tapping and doing my mentoring program. She manifested the man of her dream. She wanted that, a soulmate. She manifested the house of her dream in Bondi Beach. She's manifested incredible things. She wanted to do also, she loved cooking. So she wanted to do little demo classes cooking. And she did that. So she achieved everything. And she had a lot of judgment, self-judgment. She was really hard on herself and very self-critical, and she melted. She really doing some voice tapping, and in my mentoring program, not just voice tapping, but voice tapping has been really shifting a lot of energy within her little body and within her consciousness. Like she expanded her consciousness and her energy shifted and her way of looking at herself, the way she was, her identity, because we created a shift of identity. Then she manifested incredible things for herself. So she's very happy. Every now and again we have a little catch up and we're in touch. It's really beautiful. I love my clients.
I love my clients too.
I'm such a mom.
It's such a joy to do work that's not actually doesn't feel like work. Like if I was left unsupervised, I would just work all day and all night because I love it so much.
Yeah,
I forget to go to the toilet sometimes because I'm so in someone's manuscript. I'm like, oh, geez, I better go do that. My mum bladder's not going to hold on much more.
Wow. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You love it. Yeah, that's great. That's important.
Going to the toilet is definitely important.
You love your work.
Now, you talk a lot about finding your voice, and I know that you work primarily with women, and this is something that I feel many women struggle with, is using their voice, understanding what is their voice and what has been programmed to be their voice, if you like, through society and marketing and generational trauma, all of these things. Speak to me about that journey and that idea of finding your voice. What does that mean?
Wow, that's a big question. Finding our voice is, if I go back in the past, I take my own story, I felt very suppressed in my self-expression. I felt that I had a speech impediment. As a little kid, I was extremely shy and I was terrified of the world. I had a lot of fears and I was really shy and I felt very insecure and I had a speech impediment. So I thought to myself, I would never be able to do anything with my life with that problem. And I didn't feel like I have space to express myself. I was hiding in my wardrobe often. And And so,
I just find this so interesting because this is not the person that I know.
no, I know, right? Yeah, when I transformed. I like, what is it, the caterpillar into,
Yeah, into the butterfly.
yes, I've transformed for sure. I've done so much work. Yeah, no, 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 I've transformed. I embody transformation from head to toes, I've transformed.
Was there a pivotal moment from you being that little girl, that woman full of fear, pivotal moment or something someone said to you that made you went, I don't want to live like this anymore. I need to do some work here?
I wouldn't say, I mean, there's been many pivotal moments, and there still are. Like, it's an ongoing journey. Like the ego structure, we've been conditioned and programmed 0 to 7 with traumas, limiting beliefs. So it's a dance. And I believe we constantly have to tune into our heart to practice the 5 pillars of my work: the self-care, the self-love, self-expression, self-leadership, intuition, and intuitive creativity, non-negotiable. So it's by doing the work that I love, by doing my work, that I keep expanding, that I keep softening, that I keep opening, that I keep creating, because that's what we're expensive being by nature. But yeah, we've been conditioned and programs. And then as our consciousness awaken and expand, and as we practice to listen to the heart, and we practice to listen to our intuition and to follow our intuition, as opposed to operate from a head, which is very, very limited, from our left brain, which is super conditioned with fears, with limiting beliefs, with judgments. And if we operate, I mean, our head is useful, don't get me wrong, the mental has its place, has its role to play, but the practice is to be in the somatic, in the soma, in the body, the opening, getting a professional in opening your heart, practicing to use your heart and follow your intuition. That's the feminine way to lead, and that's the way that will lead you to your purpose, to your calling, to a happy existence, to a joyful existence. Otherwise, and that's finding your voice, is that basically is finding what brings you joy, is learning to love yourself and be accepting of all your dysfunctions. We all have plenty of dysfunctions, plenty of addictions. We all have an egoic structure. And we have to learn to dance with it, because if you try to fix yourself all your life, you're gonna waste your life trying to fix yourself. It's not the way to go. You're never gonna, you know what I mean? You don't try to fix yourself. Forget about fixing yourself. Learn to love what is and follow what excites you, like me with my voice activation.
What a beautiful reframe, because I think a lot of the personal development world, and I mean, our publishing company specializes in non-fictional personal development books, right? Yeah. Although my clients are amazing and we don't do this, but a lot of personal development books out there really focus on marketing heavily on that you need to fix yourself, you're broken. And there's a beautiful book called You Are Not Broken. I think it's by Dr. Woodhouse. And correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, I think it's Dr. Woodhouse. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love that so much. And the way that you just reframed that is so beautiful, because we're not broken and we are born limitless. And it's that opportunity that you get to choose how to expand every day, if you like. I think that's a part of the most beautiful parts of being a human.
Yeah, that's beautiful. You're such a great communicator. I love the way you say that. It's so lovely. So yes, exactly. We are here to expand. And so, no, we're not broken. But I mean, intrinsically, we all believe that we're broken. But when you're not operating from the belief system and saying, as you said, you know, in the personal development, trying to heal and fix and all that. No, if you're not operating from trying to change your beliefs, but instead you ask the question, what would I love now? What would I love to express, to create, to contribute? What would I love? What would I love to sing, to voice, to communicate? Who would I love to connect in a loving space with? Would bring me joy now?
Living in the present moment now.
The present moment and the questions you ask yourself will get you out of your limiting belief. It will get you out by just saying now, like if you're in trauma space or, you're in fear.
Which we all go into.
Oh, 100%. It happens to me a lot. Like
Every day.
I got a whole bunch of my generation, a whole bunch of freaking constipating beliefs. And my God,
Constipating beliefs. I love that.
I mean, I'm not attached because I know I'm not that. This is not who I am. I'm not these beliefs that's been, that I chose at 2 years old and then I chose at 6 years old. They're not who I am. It's not me. That doesn't represent my higher self, my expansive self, my big heart, the beautiful soul that I am. It doesn't reflect who I truly am. And so the practice of asking really potent questions with joy, with love, then you'll get in alignment. Then you'll get back on your path. If it's to go and have a walk along the beach for a moment to recalibrate, realign your nervous system, because stressed out, you're exhausted, or you're in fear response, flight, fight, flight, whatever it is, you're frozen, popsicle, you know what I mean? Go have a shake on the beach. If it's what your intuition is telling you, that's what you need to do. You listen and you drop the manuscript, you drop the computer, you let go for a moment, and you go and do that.
I had to do that last night as an example. My partner got home and I just said, I need to go for a run. He's like, you haven't ran for like 2 years. I was like, I need to go for a run. It's the only thing that is going to fix how I feel right now. And I went for a run and I came back and he's like, oh my gosh, you're in such a better mood. I was like, I know, I told you that's what I needed. I just needed to go for a run. And it's listening to those things and acting on them in the best way that you can and available to you that will then lead you to the next right thing or the next opportunity or the next level of expansion.
That's it. You nailed it. Exactly right. So, if you go for your run, then you come back, you've got an inspiring idea. Oh, well, yeah, this is what I need to do. This podcast, I mean, that's a big idea, but it could be as big as small, and doesn't matter the size of the idea. You follow the next inspiration. Inspiration, it says in the word inspired from spirit. It's coming in from spirit, inspired. If you're not inspired, don't follow it because it's coming from ego. So there's either ego, which is going to be limiting, which is often coming from fear, as opposed to feeling inspired, coming from the heart, coming from the soul, coming from love.
That's beautiful. I hope that we can all experience that and living more in alignment with ourselves. Wouldn't that be a beautiful world to live in? We live in hope. We live in hope. Now, I always like to give some practical advice to our listeners or our watchers, depending on where they're hanging out with us. Communication is, in my opinion, one of the most important tools that a human being can have in their toolkit, whether that's in your romantic relationships, your work relationships, your entrepreneurial endeavors as a parent, because I have experienced too many, and used to be a terrible communicator myself, too many situations where communication has broken down completely and it hasn't ended well for anybody, any parties. Can you give us some practical tips? And this can be entrepreneurs need communication in order to sell and to market. Parents need communication in order to lead and raise their kids. Romantic partners need communication in order to connect and grow together. So pick your arena, my love. But can you give us like some practical tools about how people can learn to communicate better and understand that not everybody communicates the same?
Oh my gosh. Wow. The listening skill is a very, very, very important one. The listening skill and the practicing to be present. I used to be like barking dog, like wanting to, like just wanting to attack straight up or defend, or you know what I mean? Like
listening to respond rather than listening to receive.
Yeah, rather than listening. And it's very clever. People who are listening, they're observing, they learn a lot faster because you have time to digest what the response that you're going to offer. If you jump too quickly to speak, sometimes you might regret what you've said. Your communication might be aggressive or judging, or if you triggered, especially if you're triggered. So in any form of relationship communication is to take a few breaths. It's very basic, but take a few breaths before you're going to express yourself. I mean, we're talking here about challenging situations.
Yes.
Where there's conflict, where there's disagreement, where there's that kind of space. So it's a practice. I'm not saying it's easy. It's not easy. I lost it a few weeks back with who was it? The electrician was coming. So- and he was blocking my car. I was responsible to go and meet some people. We were going away, and there were like children waiting for me, adults, like a whole bunch of people waiting for me. So when we have something, a commitment that's important and people are waiting for me, I don't like to make them wait. You know what I mean? I don't find it respectful. And he was blocking me and he wouldn't move. That was super challenging. I asked him to move because I didn't feel comfortable to do that maneuver all around. It was just not comfortable for my little nervous system. So, and he wouldn't do that for me. So that was very challenging to have the communication, and it was very challenging.
I'm feeling stressed just thinking about that.
Yeah. So I mean, because these things happen, you see that
It's part of everyday life. Yeah.
If you're in a hurry, you've got 5 kids at home, you've got to go to the shop, whatever it might be, stress will show up. But if you can still to touch your heart, touch your belly, take 3 long, deep inhale, close your eyes and just come back to self for a moment. Just going to bring it back to self.
So you didn't ram the electrician's car? Is that what you're telling me?
What's that?
You didn't ram the electrician's car? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, no.
Did you take some deep breaths?
Yeah, but I was not happy. I was really not happy. I told him I was actually furious, but I said, listen, this is really not cool. I've got to meet some people. And no, I was not happy at all. But he had his point. There's a bit of story behind that. But
yeah, of course. There's always 2 sides to a story.
Always 2 sides. But I mean, if you ask me for a tool, is if you can to come back to self, literally physically touching you and closing your eyes for a second, if you're not feeling safe, closing your eyes. Depends on the level of safety, but it's just taking 3 deep breaths and go, some sigh, some sound. I loved playing with sound and exploring, vocalizing. So we go with sound. 3 times. Ooh. And expressing, right now, I'm so triggered. Owning it. I am so stressed right now. I feel so disrespected. I'm feeling so triggered right now. I'm so on the edge of exploding right now. Naming it. Well, number 1, touching. A hand on your beautiful belly. If you're available, if you're not driving, a hand on your belly, a hand on your heart. Number 2, big deep breath in. I like number 3, Mother, Child, Divine Mother, Divine Father, Divine Child, 3 times. Number 3, and close eyes only if you feel safe. If not, that's okay. Number 3, name the discomfort that you're in, challenge or the situation that you're in. I feel so pissed off right now.
Taking your power back, isn't it?
It's really reclaiming your voice, reclaiming your power, going back in as opposed to jump and give you power.
Because then you can do something about it, right? Then you have a choice.
100%. To get to that choice, these 3-step practice will help you exactly to reclaim your power, to find a better choice. And now if the person in front of you say, I'm willing to listen to you, just give me a moment, do your steps, and then you can talk. And set your boundary. Number 4, set your boundary. No yelling at me, no blaming, judging, screaming. It's not welcome in my world. This is not welcome here. If you do the steps, you will get there. If you come back to touching, come back to breathing, come back to naming, claiming how you feel right now, what's happening for you with then you might be able to open up and say, I'm willing to listen to you. Because if you let the other talk before you, if you allow them to talk before you by setting your boundaries, of course. No screaming, no judging, no yelling, no blaming, shaming, all that. It'll give you the time to digest, process, and then come with a bit more wisdom than jumping out of yourself.
Yeah, powerful. If we remember to do it, and I'm sure it's a practice, right? Like
Practice, and I tell you, I was the one, like I was ready to punch, like had so much anger. That's my default. It's my default. So much
it's my default too, like attack.
anger is
And
my default.
yeah.
But then I would feel so much guilt and so much shame and guilt that I would burst into tears, and I would feel so sad because I'm such an empath and I've got such a big heart. But I've been raised with a lot of screaming. Everyone was screaming and yelling at each other all the time. Yes, I tell you what, the good thing is I've decided that would not be my life, my existence. It would not
It's
be
a decision, right? And one that you get to make every day to choose things differently for you. I love that.
Yeah, I'm practicing, you know what I mean? It's not like I'm not always a winner in the game. I'm practicing. But I love to have the tools, and I love to practice them, and I love to share the tools with you, with your audience, with my clients. I love to share them. I work with an extraordinary woman from mid last year till beginning of this year. Just adore her. She's actually based in Newcastle. She's also French Canadian, and I was love at first sight. We just was soul sister. We're born the same day.
What? Really?
Yeah, we're born not the same year, but the same day, and we just really clicked. And she felt really attracted to do the program. She did one of my program, which called Accelerate Your Heart's Desires. I've got Your Voice Truly Matters as well, which is phenomenal. I'm just opening up 3 spaces, by the way, now in my one-on-one container, which is an amazing program. She did that program with me, and these kind of tools she was telling me, like she's mentoring in the company she works for. She's an amazing woman. And all the tools that she's used them with her husband, with her child, with her little girl, with the people she mentor in the company, and for herself. And she was just like the voice tapping she used and these tools for communications. Like she was blown away, like the difference in her relationships and how she got a raise in her company, raised a position and raised a lot of money. She got because she said to me, Anick, I would have never been able to ask for it before I did the program with you. I cried. That's my reward. I love. So that's finding your voice. She's been able to ask for what she really wanted. She's been able to value herself more. She's been able to gain incredible self-confidence and self-awareness. And it's just magical. So by using all these powerful tools and practicing and applying and integrating them with our team and with our family. So there's no words, like it's just,
There's no words, but it's all about the words, right? The power of your voice cannot be underestimated. It is absolutely life-changing in all areas. And even that inner voice, how you speak to yourself, once you learn all of those tools, it's life-changing. Now, Anick, we are coming to the end of our time together, but I'm sure we'll catch up again. We have a tradition on this podcast called the book drop because books are life, as far as I'm concerned. Can you tell our listeners or share with them your favorite book, or maybe you've got 2 that has changed your life or impacted you in some way?
Yes, there's a lot of books. I was a bookworm when I was a kid. Mum, she used to give us, she was a primary school teacher, and for Christmas, we got hundreds of books, like so many books. I've read a lot in my life, but I'd say, yeah, there's 2 books that are really revolutionary for me, like in my education and in my healing and transformation, in my transformational existence. Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. Dr. Susan Jeffers, who died from cancer, who's an amazing American woman. She's incredible. She's also wrote a book about love. Oh my gosh, I just have so much respect for that woman. So Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway is an incredible book because I had a lot of fears. I grew up raised with a lot of fear in the household. It was really I'm not alone. I know a lot of people have been raised so many fears. And yeah, I was really terrified of what other people would think of me and making a mistake and getting it wrong. And so scared being abandoned and rejected and not being good enough. And
yeah, all of the normal things.
It's just so many things.
Yeah.
So this book has really helped me a great deal to, feel the fear and do it anyway. Like, look at us now.
That is one motto to live by, I must say.
I spoke on a TEDx stage. I had a speech impediment as a kid. I've been speaking on a lot of stage. I was an MC in a show. I had nothing prepared. I've improvised the whole time. Incredible things that really allowed me to become and to do and to express and to overcome by feeling the fear and moving through it. So it's a really, really good book. She's got some really practical tools and it's really from the heart. It's really beautiful.
I will be
And
sure to add it to our list for everyone to grab.
yeah, you never heard of that book?
Oh, no, I have, but our listeners may not have.
Yeah. And the other book that is also a Bible, I've got on Audible because I don't read anymore so much. It takes me too long. So I have to listen. I'm a fan of YouTube. I have to say I love YouTube. Is Nonviolent Communication, NVC. You probably heard about that one as well.
ABC.
Oh, Marshall Rosenberg. There's heaps of videos. It's an amazing, amazing, amazing book. It's like the tools that I just showed you, the practice for communicating and not jumping into people with anger. It gives a lot of tools like that. It's about taking self-responsibility and really owning the eyes, not blaming, but really owning your own feelings, because that's what shuts our voice down, is when we feel criticized, judged, and blamed and shamed, humiliated. That really can freeze us in when we try to express ourselves. So it's really important. So it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful book. And yeah, he's an amazing man. So Nonviolent Communication by Marshall Rosenberg. Yeah, it really helped me a lot.
Amazing. I'm sure it'll help some other people today. And so will your work and just you sharing all of your wisdom with us. So thank you so much for being here today and for communicating so wonderfully and sharing so openly about the challenges, the joys, the highs, the lows, and everything in between.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I've written a story in a book myself. So you've got to read that one as well.
Let's add it to the book list. What is it?
Visionary. The first story in the book, Visionary, the future belongs to the one who can see in the dark. And 2020, the story is about liberating your heart and activate your inner healer. It's about the near-death experience I had, and it's a very powerful transmission.
Wow.
I highly recommend you read it. It will change your life forever.
I love it. I love life-changing reads. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here today and spending your precious time with us. It's been a joy.
Thank you, Tarryn. You're adorable. Thank you for having me. I love talking with you and your audience today. So I'm very grateful. Thank you for having me.
If you are looking to hang out with Anick or learn more about her work or her books or all of the amazing things that she does, check out the show notes because we're going to pop all of her links there.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's a wrap on today's episode. If you love the insights and inspiration, don't let it end here. Hit subscribe to stay connected and turn your visions into reality alongside our community of changemakers. I'm Tarryn Reeves. Thank you for joining me. And remember, your story has power. See you in the next episode.